Well, hey there. So it is a very cold and very rainy week in Sacramento. It looks like it's going to be like this pretty much until the weekend. Besides the weather, which I'm sure is really a fascinating update for you, I wanted to talk about something also very local, what I had learned from the TEDx Sacramento conference a couple weeks ago. And not necessarily everything that I learned because that'd be a very long video, because I learned a lot. I learned a lot about what people are doing around the world and what people are doing locally in Sacramento to make the world that they and we live in a more dynamic, interesting, progressive, sustainable place to live. The subject, or the through line of the conference this year was what's next, and so obviously looking at what's next, they were pretty clear on the title. There was a presenter at the end, and he, for me, I think maybe had the most impactful talk of the whole afternoon, and one that really stemmed back to lessons that I had learned in Peru, from ayahuasca. And so it was so cool and so interesting to get a very similar lesson at TEDx, from a doctor, having this kind of like scientific approach to something that I learned in a spiritual way. Not that you need science to validate everything, but it rounds out an idea. And so what that is, what his talk was about was, our never-ending search for happiness, and what the source of our happiness is, and how to attain happiness, and how to, maintain happiness. And that he had narrowed down a reliable, accessible, powerful source of happiness in our lives that any of us have full access to right this moment. And that's compassion. Like, when he said that, I was just like, holy shit, yes, I know, you're right, it's totally compassion. Because when I was in Peru and in my last ayahuasca ceremony, which was really kind of the ceremony that I felt like gave me everything that I needed to go forward and to leave Peru. Like, everything that had happened up to that point was kind of preparation for this one. Like, this was, here's everything you need to know to leave. And the main lesson that I took out of that last ceremony was the power of compassion. I was flooded with it. It was just like nothing I'd ever experienced before. But the happiness that I got from it, like what it was so interesting, is that it wasn't that I was just getting all of this joy and happiness. It wasn't like this euphoric rush that was just coming in and I was just taking it in. It was like I couldn't give enough love to everybody else that I was there with. Not literally, but just like in my mind and my emotions. I couldn't love them and be compassionate for them and for their experiences enough. Like, I just had so much to give. And the more that I gave, the more I got back. And so I was just, the abundance of happiness and the abundance of compassion that I felt, like, I couldn't not connect the two, I couldn't not see how they were related. I couldn't not take that away as a profound life lesson, that the true source of happiness in life is serving others and caring for others and giving to others. And compassion is not, when I say serving and caring, it can sound like, well, does that mean I need to go volunteer somewhere? Does that mean I need to go do this or go do that? And my answer is, you don't have to. That should be something that could be something that you want to do. That could be a way to practice this. But there are so many ways to practice compassion. It is so easy. To me, compassion is just being a kind human being. Not just nice, but kind. To me, compassion is just keeping in mind that we're all human beings. And so if you're at the supermarket and you're interacting with the person behind the register, or you're on the road and you're, in traffic and you're, letting somebody in from, like, at an intersection, compassion is choosing to make conversation with the cashier at the supermarket and ask them how their day is going and thank them for, doing their job and ringing up your groceries and maybe even bagging them. Compassion is letting that person into the intersection and saying no problem, and really owning that we're all in this together. We're all in this traffic jam together. And so compassion is so much less about stuff you have to do and so much more about the energy that you bring to the day. It is incredible what happens when you step out your front door in the morning and you approach the day with a sense of openness and compassion versus just like getting through it. Just putting on your armor and pushing through. And anybody who gets in your way is fucked. It's Marco. What's going on? You want to jump in? No? he's just trying to make a cameo. He doesn't want to say anything.
This is just him agreeing. This is just him being compassionate.
Compassion can be hard to connect with. Compassion is very vulnerable. Compassion takes us off the defense. Compassion is about us looking at the world and looking at life and saying, how can I help? And not about what can I get from it or what is it doing for me? And so that can be kind of scary. But I found that this talk was so illuminating because he connected this thing that can be kind of scary and kind of difficult to get into with something that we're all looking for. I can't think of anything more motivating. And so I think a really simple way of maybe approaching this and getting a little bit more comfortable with the idea or figuring out how to access it is this. It's really about changing a really fundamental question. And it's less about what do I need to be happy and more about what do I need to give in order to be happier. What can I give? What can I do for others? They say that, for example, with depression, one of the ways to mitigate the symptoms of depression is actually to volunteer, is to put yourself in a place of giving. And I think to take that further and to connect that to this talk, it's connecting you with compassion, finding that purpose and that passion and that meaning in life, finding a way to connect to that deeper reasoning and that deeper source of purpose. Because it's not just, happiness is just a feeling. And I think that's why compassion is so powerful, is because it connects you with the deepest and most authentic source of happiness in your life. Anyway, I hope that's helpful for you. If you literally like this video, please feel free to digitally like it on YouTube, subscribe, share it, comment, all those things, all those engaging things that people like to do with videos that they like. I would love to hear from you as well. Thanks. Have a great day.